From day one, Megadeth's members made danger a personal mission. Mustaine and Ellefson's appetite for self-destruction was matched by Chris Poland and Gar Samuelson.
They played jazz. They also lived a jazz lifestyle, which meant, for a lot of jazz players, heroin.
That was the first time that I really saw a bona fide heroin addict. I mean, I was like, we ain't in Kansas anymore, Toto.
You want to be great, you had to do heroin. That's straight out of Gar's mouth. And I thought, you know what, I want to be great.
While Chris and Gar were full-blown junkies, Mustaine and Ellefson were soon snorting heroin and mixing it with cocaine, a deadly cocktail known as a speedball.
It was great. The heroin helped you come down off the cocaine. Now I knew why everybody did speedballs. I know why they did it. And I forgot that everybody died from it. I forgot that part.
It was no bad boy image, man. We were just out of control.
The band's reckless ways only fed their growing reputation in the metal underground. When Megadeth made a demo tape in the summer of '84, it quickly sparked a bootleg bonanza. Within weeks, the tape fell into the hands of New York record exec Barry Coburn.
Once I heard the cassette, it was like, wow. You know, I mean, we have another Metallica in our hands.
I could have sounded just like Metallica if I wanted to, and I didn't. Megadeth doesn't sound anything like Metallica. It really doesn't.
Coburn's Combat Records had financed the label that released Metallica's debut album. He quickly signed Megadeth and rushed the band into the studio.
They gave us $8,000 to make the record. We spent half of that on food and dope. Chris would stop in the middle of a take to go into the bathroom to shoot up, and Gar wouldn't show up for hours because he was buying balloons of heroin. And David Ellefson and I, we always had our amount that we needed to get by.
I would get these frantic calls saying, the studio's a shambles. We've got all this drug paraphernalia here. I mean, it was frightening.
Now this place, 665 Berindo, which is just off of Melrose. We're actually over in kind of East Hollywood right now. This used to be, I guess years ago, a recording studio, but it was a rehearsal studio by the time Dave and I found the place. And it was a place called Mars Studios. And I actually worked here for a short while because we were so broke and needed somehow to make some money. So I actually worked here for a little while. And a guy named Hanley actually gave me a job here, which was great because then after hours and off the books, I could kind of slide Megadeth in and we could do some free rehearsals here, which was great. And actually, we did a lot of rehearsing here with Gar Samuelson. We did a lot of writing, I think, for Killing Is My Business here. And Chris Poland did a lot of rehearsing here with us as well. Because there was a phase where Chris was playing with us when we were recording Killing Is My Business, and then he bailed out of the band for a while, and then he came back in for a bit. And that's why he didn't do the tour for Killing Is My Business. Another guy by the name of Mike Albert did. And then Chris came back in, and that was when we continued on and through the Peace Cells era with both Chris and Gar. So this place, man, what a dump. This place was dilapidated, but man, we did a lot of partying, did a lot of songwriting, and a lot of jamming here. It was cool.
The session's edgy, angry sound was on raw display in Megadeth's debut album, Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good. Released in May of '85, the record got good reviews in both metal and mainstream rock magazines. While the music was a tour de force, the album's artwork was more of a joke.
Somewhere we fucked up the artwork. We lost the artwork, and it caused the major to-do.
Dave had wanted an illustration of his own creation, Vic Rattlehead, to adorn the cover of the album, but the label had another idea.
The first album cover was not the way we wanted it. It's a plastic skull with tinfoil on it and bones with pickles and ketchup on it. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, boy, did we get cheated.
The first thing I thought of was low budget. But the title made up for everything.
With an album to support, Megadeth began peeling the paint from concert venues from coast to coast.
The early days, we didn't have any place to live, so going on the road was great. We finally had a place to live. You know, and I remember, like, looking at the itinerary or something and going, oh, man, the tour's going to end. Now what am I going to do? Now who am I going to go back to L.A. and live with?
During the next 4 years, they would rarely come off the road.
We'd be driving around the country in a motorhome.
Doing heroin and coke every day.
And just psycho. You know, we're out of our minds and playing clubs.
Smoking pot every day and drinking every day.
We never went to sleep. We just passed out.
It's like the closest four guys ever get to each other without actually having sex with each other.
But if the band provoked hysteria in the heavy metal underground, they provoked horror in the world above.
We'd pull into truck stops, and Gar would go in and buy like pickled pig's feet and a couple of beers.
We would go into some of these little podunk redneck truck stops, and they kind of look at you like you're the devil incarnated, and then they ask you who you are. Chris gets funny with them, and he goes, "Oh, we're a gospel act."
I go, Megadeth. And they'd be, Megadeth. Ah.
And you just go, oh my God, they're going to be waiting for us outside with pitchforks right now.
Parents criticized Megadeth for their hellacious looks and violent lyrics. But the music hit a nerve with America's disenfranchised youth.
I was a 13-year-old kid. It's everything you're looking for because you're so pissed off at the world. You know what I mean? It just empowers you. I mean, it's just powerful music.
They were truly angry young men.
By the spring of '86, Megadeth was developing a national reputation. Still, it paled next to that of Metallica.
They were leaving us behind. They were taking off. They were doing really good, and it was burning me up, you know?
He hated everything. He hated himself. He hated me. He hated the company. He felt that he could not break through unless he was on a major label.
The band's debut album had sold 100,000 copies, a decent tally for an independent label release, but not good enough for Dave Mustaine.
He was just like a rabid dog, man. He would just be like, "Arr, arr."
We said, hey, it's a process. We're growing up together. But he felt that we couldn't get him to the next level, so there was a tremendous anxiety between label and band and Dave. The last thing we wanted to do was sell Megadeth, but he was in a mode of denial that was kind of scary.
In the summer of '86, Coburn sold Megadeth's contract to Capitol Records.
We recently made a pretty large step in life. We're now on a label called Capitol. Thanks to everybody out here that's been supporting us.
That November, the new label released Megadeth's follow-up album. Peace Sells, But Who's Buying was a quantum leap, both in terms of its quality and its complexity.
What do you mean I could be the president of the United States of America? Tell me something. It's still we, the people, right?
I think the thing that separated Megadeth from a lot of the other heavy metal bands was that it wasn't just, let's see how fast we can play and let's see how many demons and devils we can sing about. Dave Mustaine liked to really write about lyrics that meant something.
I was like a really big fan of Peace Sells. The second record I thought was an awesome heavy metal record at that time. And I listened to it a lot. And even though I certainly didn't tell anybody at the time, I was, I guess, secretly kind of proud of the work that he'd done because he had stepped up to the plate.
Peace Sells did sell. Audiences ate up the record critics call classic thrash metal, and it quickly moved 500,000 copies. But that didn't make Dave or the band any happier.
We were starting to become more reclusive, and in fact, there was a lot of infighting starting to happen in the band.
The song would end, and then, you know, Gar would throw a drumstick at Dave and hit him in the back of the head.
I swear to God, it was like Fight Club.
I don't know if this happens in other rock bands, but they were just literally, like, trying to kill each other, you know?
Me and Dave got in the biggest fight ever. Broke the toilet off the floor in the bathroom and then went out into the other room and smashed the headboard through the wall.
The room would be destroyed, you know? And it was like, you'd come in and you'd go, well, how did the bed break in half? You know, the bed just doesn't break in half, you know? And they're like, oh, I don't know, you know, fuck it, you know, just get another bed in here, you know?
I used to love when the managers would just walk. The road managers would walk. Scott would never walk. You know what? Now to think about it, if anybody suffered, he did. Because he had to, like, you know, every little thing, every room destroyed. God, he had to take care of all that.